Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and the drama never stops in crypto, and today's no different. Let's start here. Link2 just has a major milestone. Link2 hit 200,000 users, rocketing from 65 at the year's onset. And then also they are in the running for Investment Tech of the Year at the US 2023 FinTech Awards. Pretty darn cool. They're my sponsor, and the link's in the top of the description. And if you are interested in private equity and you're an accredited investor, go check it out. They have Ripple equity, just to tell you some of them that they have. These are the ones I own. They have Ripple private equity. They have Uphold. They have PolySign. They have Link2 itself. They have all kinds of AI offerings. I don't know those yet, but they have all kinds of different things that you can take a look at. All right. John Deaton was on a Twitter Spaces yesterday. It was great. Listen.
I'm not going to attack any particular judge, but I'm going to give facts. And, Judge Torres has never been reversed on summary judgment. Judge Rakoff had 53 reversals, just to give you, or 56, just to put things in perspective. And so, it's great news for XRP. It's still great news for the entire crypto market. But when you have Larry Fink and PayPal and BlackRock and everyone now starting to maybe know what Uphold knew years ago, or they're starting to see what Uphold saw years ago, I think the future is going to be okay.
John, quick question from me. Judge Torres was very careful to only apply existing jurisprudence on the Howey test to the decision in the Ripple case. She avoided sort of legislating from the bench. She rejected the argument that Ripple put forward, which was the key ingredients test, which would be a new concept. My question is, do you think that makes her decision harder to appeal successfully for the SEC?
Simon, that's an outstanding point, because what she basically did a strict application of the Howey factors to each type of sell that the SEC alleged. So it was the SEC who said, look, these institutional sells are securities. These programmatic sells on exchanges are securities. These giving XRP to employees or independent contractors, those are securities. Judge Torres did not, she didn't distinguish sells. It was the SEC's theory, and all she did was say, okay, and did what Simon just said. I'm going to take this test. I'm not going to worry about what the policy is behind the 1933 Act. I'm just going to do what Howey said. And there's a Supreme Court decision. The Howey case itself says the only thing that matters is the test satisfied. The Howey test itself, Simon, says whether the underlying asset.
Okay, so that's one clip. Now there's also this clip, and there's two things that came out of this ruling for XRP and for Ripple that I don't think people are really paying attention to. These, I would call these the XRP ruling secrets that they're either not paying attention to or they're avoiding. And I'll translate this, but listen to what John says. You're hearing about legislation and Patrick McHenry and all of this, but there's a little problem. And the problem is that none of these people can ever agree on anything the way it currently is. The chances of that stuff passing is almost zero. And that's the fact jack. So what does that mean? What are these XRP ruling secrets I'm referring to? Well, one of them is this right here.
As you see the Republicans candidates ramping up, we're going into an election year, and it's going to be very difficult to imagine a bill passing the House and the Senate and signed by President Biden before 2025. And so I think there's a lot of work that's going to get done until then, but I'm still negative that we're going to actually see a law passed into law, unfortunately.
That's dirty little secret number one, is that XRP, there's a very, very good chance that XRP is the only digital asset with legal clarity until 2025. Bitcoin does not have legal clarity. Jay Clayton and the SEC and the CFTC under Jay Clayton, they agreed that Bitcoin was a commodity. The current SEC and the CFTC agreed that Bitcoin is a commodity, okay? But that's not legal. No matter what anybody tells you, that is not legal, okay? Those are the opinions of administrations. You could have one come in next month at the SEC and say, no, I don't think Bitcoin. I've heard about a video that says that Homeland Security met with 4 Satoshis. I don't think Bitcoin's a commodity. I think we have the common enterprise right over there. Let's go meet with them again. They could do that. That could happen. Ethereum is not a commodity. That was just a speech. That was a Bill Hinman speech. It doesn't have any legal designation. Congress hasn't passed anything. XRP is the only one. That's secret number one. Now let me give you secret number two. I asked John after that Spaces, because they weren't allowing anybody to have questions. I said, hey, John, remember, folks, because of the Bill Hinman speech, the fake clarity that came out of that speech for Bitcoin and Ethereum, the next years were spent. Joseph Lubin over at Consensus created a token factory, token foundry. They thought he and all of his VC buddies and all the different people around that were in that little circle, they thought they could now issue tokens on the Ethereum blockchain, and that they could issue them at will. They could buy them. They could do all of this stuff, but they couldn't. They literally walked into a trap. So I said, John, I haven't heard you say how the verdict affects institutions and VCs that were accepting tokens post Hinman's speech, because they thought they had covered. Consensus had a token foundry, which they've deleted since then, where they issued many tokens. Joseph Lubin bragged about how they made tens of billions of dollars. There were VCs that had, there's more. There were VCs that had models where they would accept some equity and some tokens in some instances. And then John Deaton replies right here, DAI, that's why I said I could see some VCs running to support smart tailored legislation. See folks, this is dirty secret number two. The reason there's this mad scramble for legislation now is because these people know. Who do you think contributes to all these Congress people that are scrambling around to get legislation right now? These VCs, these massive VCs. I won't say their name, but you know who you are. We all know who they are. 2 of them were in the room during ETHgate with the SEC. But John says right here, they're going after tailored legislation because before Judge Torres' ruling, they probably felt very comfortable that they got a pass because they are sophisticated investors. But like I've said several times since the XRP ruling, there's no Howey factor that asks what level of sophistication does the investor buyer have. What's so ironic is that many of the VCs who bought the ETH ICO and bought tokens from Consensus and other entities supported the SEC's case against Ripple and called XRP a security. Well, be careful what you support and what you ask for, because strictly applying the Howey test to the token sales for your reference, hedge funds and VCs, constituents an investment contract, aka a security. Now, there was another instance that Digital Perspectives was reminded of it, so I'm going to show it. This is a tweet I did a while back. Charles Hoskinson is talking on stage about exactly what I described there. All of this stuff that went on, those were illegal securities transactions. And that is a fact, Jack, based on the XRP ruling.
Do you think that VCs overlook the Cardano ecosystem? Some do, some don't. It just depends on the location. Is it a family office? Is it certainly A16Z, and others are like Cardano. But the problem is that we didn't.
Why do you think that is?
Because we didn't have any Ponzonomics for them. I mean, let's be honest here. The vast majority of VCs, let's just be honest, the way they approach it is liquidity. So they say, when is the token coming out? Where's the marketplace for the token going to be? Do I get an early distribution? How do I exit that early distribution when the retail people come in? And you've seen numerous layer ones and dApps, we won't name names, where they launch to market at a very high valuation. The insiders dump, they go down, and they walk away with a lot of money. And so there wasn't a lot of Ponzonomics to offer, and it was a fair distribution of Cardano. It has a great Gini coefficient.
What he's really saying is, I wasn't in their little monopoly that they thought they had.
It's one of the most distributed currencies in terms of distribution, so there was no insider distribution to go and sell. Some of these layer ones, which you guys track on your platform, the insider distribution is greater than 50%. So if you're a VC, you say, oh, wow, if I get involved in this, and I get 10% of the supply, and I could get 100x in 6 months, this is my favorite thing in the whole wide world. They look at Cardano and they say, well, where's that opportunity? We say, well, it doesn't exist. It's an egalitarian distribution. So I got nothing for you.
So to go back to my XRP ruling secrets, secret one is that XRP could very well be the only digital asset with legal clarity until 2025. Secret number two is that their fake Hinman monopoly was busted, and now they all have freaking targets on their back. And that is the fact, Jack. And anybody who wants to disagree can disagree, but you are wrong. Brad Garlinghouse talks about it a bit here. This is a great little thing that was put together by Mr. Huber.
At best, these documents show that senior officials at the SEC couldn't agree on the law and told Bill Hinman directly he would confuse the public even more about the rules for crypto. At worst, they show that Hinman deliberately ignored the law, and he tried to create new laws, something only Congress can do. And while he was a public servant, Hinman received millions of dollars of payments from his law firm, which was part of an alliance with others that had a vested interest in this speech. This speech isn't about any one token or any one blockchain. This is about showing the extent to which the SEC has relentlessly pursued enforcement actions against crypto players while professing fake open arms and calls to come in and register.
Fake.
All the while lying about their so-called guidance. As some of you may know, Ripple spent years proactively engaging with the SEC.
That's right. It was all fake. Now, Mark Yusko is struggling with XRP. Just can't get his mind around it. You have to understand, this is the guy who was partners with Anthony Pompliano. I don't think they are anymore. I think after Anthony Pompliano had the pizza boxes business idea, ever since then maybe it fell apart. Or I don't know. Maybe it was all of the multiple companies that he was invested in that went bust or the SEC went after. I don't know. But this is a kind of interesting exchange. I tell you what, I'm going to play the second half of this.
A lot of people told me it's definitely not going to be appealed.
Yeah, well, they filed the appeal.
Some of the things Mark Yusko is saying here, I don't know anything about what he's talking about. He's saying that the SEC has filed an appeal, and I haven't seen that news.
Right, and whether that appeal works.
Let me back it up a little bit.
In with the case. Now, a lot of people have told me that it's definitely going to be appealed. A lot of people told me it's definitely not going to be appealed.
Yeah, well, they filed the appeal, right?
They did?
Whether that appeal works or whether it gets tossed because of the point that you make, we'll see. And they're appealing not the whole ruling, but parts of the ruling, as I understand it. And so it's complex. And that's why, when people say, oh, we won. Well, kind of.
It's driving these guys freaking crazy, and I love it. These are not dumb people. That's why this is so insulting. Mark Yusko is not a dumb guy. These guys know exactly what XRP is. It is the greatest threat to their precious Bitcoin because Bitcoin is a joke and it doesn't work, and they know it. And let me tell you what else they know. Let me move on here. I'm going to show you. You think they don't know about that video where the Homeland Security met with 4 Satoshis? That video right there that's the worst thing that happened to these Bitcoin maxis in their lifetime. Listen to this.
And just pivoting from topics, I know I'm going to get a lot of grief. I should have pushed you more on XRP, but I just want to know your opinion.
I still don't own it, and just to be clear, I still don't own it, and I would love anyone in the Army to convince me that I should own it.
And here's
so
what
I'm open to that conversation.
I want Mark Jesko to convince me of something, as long as people are having to convince people. Convince me that Homeland Security did not meet with the 4 Satoshis. They said they did. And explain to me why this isn't the number one topic and issue for any proponent of Bitcoin. We have the video if you need it. Think about this. These guys are telling people to buy Bitcoin. And my question is, wait a minute. Part of the reason Bitcoin supposedly has all this cover is because you're calling it a commodity. Well, if you have 4 Satoshis and Homeland Security knows who they are, you have a central party. Because the whole idea of Bitcoin, oh, we don't know who created it. The second you do know, you got a freaking problem. That's why they won't talk about this. But that's been my problem all along. XRP is the only digital assets where there's transparency. We don't know who the Ethereum disguised whales are, but we know there are disguised whales. We don't know who Satoshi is, but we know there are 4 of them that Homeland Security met with. And none of these guys will talk about those 2 things. And that's a problem. That's a big problem if you're going to invest in any of that stuff. But it's an even bigger problem that these adults, these are investment professionals, many of them, won't even bring it up. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. And it's a red flag. I'm going to end right here. Chad Steingraber, there was an article Ripple put out about SMEs, SME cross-border payments, a growth opportunity for banks. Ripple, here's a quote in the article. Suggests that the starting gun is about to sound in the race to close this gap. Banks can gain competitive advantage by using digital assets and blockchain to improve payment offerings for SMEs. It's go time. I like it. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. It's go time. Thanks for listening.